Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream, and I'm going to do your May the 24th Spiritual Principle a Day in a Meditation. The title of the meditation, and if you need to reach me, I'm sorry about that. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. The title of the meditation is Intimacy is Conscious Contact and Connection. Intimacy is conscious contact with another human being. We connect. As we get close to others, we see the divine in them and we see it in ourselves as well. That comes from Living Clean, Chapter 5, Conscious Contact. Few of us come to NA with mountains of success practicing intimacy. Often we hear our fellow addicts grumble, "I hate people." Before getting clean, family life was often dysfunctional, to say the least. The deeper we were in our addiction, the shallower our friendships and romantic relationships became. Our drug use, ego, and denial were a trio of airtight barriers that prevented us from connecting with those closest to us. We lacked trust in others and avoided being vulnerable at all costs. The ideal of truly being seen by another person was unbearable, even absurd. Upon getting clean, we may not initially be conscious of a desire for connection with our fellow addicts. We resist the ideal of exposing our true selves, but intimacy isn't just about sharing the details of our lives. It can be abandoning our old ideals about people and relationships, even letting go of our definition of what's safe. It can be taking emotional risks when we don't know the outcome. It can be saying what we want from a relationship to the other person in it with us. It can be tolerating feedback from our loved ones and growing from it. It can be sitting in meetings with a group of recovering addicts and hearing each other's gripes, pleas, desires, and strides. It can be witnessing what makes us human and worthy of love and connection over and over again. Intimacy is the result of all this. Intimacy is nothing less than letting go of everything that stops us from being ourselves in front of another person. What's divine in us is what's genuine. Today, I will consciously seek opportunities where I can get closer to my true self with another human being I trust. Let me repeat that for you. Today, I will consciously seek opportunities where I can get closer to my true self with another human being I trust. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the wee version of Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Intimacy as conscious contact and connection is an effort. It's not our experience necessarily when we first come into the program that we've been able to have a mountain of success when it comes to practicing intimacy. Active addiction just doesn't run well with the ideal of having relationships and being intimate with people. Now, I'm not talking about having sex with people. I'm talking about being intimate with people. Friendships and romantic relationships depend on being able to have conscious contact with an individual. And conscious contact is not a term that many of us even were aware of before we got exposed to the 12 steps of the program and heard how it works read at a meeting. The 11th step, talking about through maintaining, prayer and meditation, we were able to maintain a conscious contact, right, with our higher power. Many of us never heard that terminology until we got into the program. However, now the concept of conscious contact is not just with God. There's the concept of having a relationship and intentionality in the word conscious, meaning that you are not conscience, not your conscience. You have a good or bad conscience about something that you've done. No, conscious, that you are aware of what is going on. That this is with all pistons firing, you are alert and attentive and intentional in your conduct. You've heard people say, well, I don't even know if she was conscious that that was taking place. Meaning, I don't even know if she was aware that this was going on. So conscious means that I'm intentional, I'm aware, and I'm initiating on purpose contact with another person. Contact cannot take place without my permission, right? Now, someone can try to contact me, right? They can initiate calling me, but unless I take the call, there's no contact made. They will only ever be able to say, I tried to contact you, but you were not successful. You did not contact me. You initiated contact. However, I have to be receptive to it in order for it to take place. So contact requires my permission. It requires my consciousness. It requires my permission for it to be initiated. But on the other end of it, there has to be a person on the other end, and they also have to be receptive, unless they're your kids. Okay, so conscious contact is intentionality of relationship, of connecting to others. And we just honestly, we may have been in contact with people, but we weren't trying to let them know our weaknesses. We weren't trying to be vulnerable with our feelings. We weren't trying to do any of that. We were just trying to get one more. And whatever that meant that we needed to do, like however far we needed to be in contact with the individual in order to get what we wanted, we did that, right? We use people as a part of our using lifestyle, but that is not who we are today. Today, we have so much intentionality, so much consciousness behind what we're doing. And it's a beautiful experience. For me, the risk of being vulnerable is not as high as it used to be. I do it more easily with each passing day. For someone else, it could be just taking the chip off their shoulders and saying, I don't know it all. Let me sit in this meeting and be quiet and listen and be open to new information. This whole paragraph here gives different definitions of what intimacy might look like for other people, for different people. But it's nothing less than letting go of everything that stops us from being ourselves in front of another person. Being willing to show our true selves to another person. And I believe it's worth the risk. I believe it's worth the risk. Now, as I initiate conscious contact with another human being, there's always that possibility that they might be having a bad day. And even if they normally would be receptive to the contact, they might on a bad day, not be open. We all have bad moments, right? My husband, for instance, when I talk about conscious contact, now he's in recovery, so he understands the terminology, but he will automatically go to an interest of his into UFOs and aliens and Area 51. And I'm into Star Trek, right? So I understand. But that's not what we're talking about here. I could have a bad day with my husband, and he will automatically, I can have a bad day, not with him. I can have a bad day, period. And then in my intimacy with my husband, my conscious contact with him, he's able to perceive where I'm at. He understands my mind. He can understand that I'm struggling here. I'm not really just trying to be closed off and reclusive in a whole house that we live in together. He understands how I work, how I operate. And so he can read when I'm withdrawing. And he instantly knows what he needs to do to pull me back into the presence of relationship. Now that's my husband. Dealing with everyday people in the meetings and stuff like that, they may not know that. They probably don't. Yet I come with the expectation that they will make room for me. And they may or may not. But if I wear my feelings on my sleeves about people's responses to me, I will be totally dysfunctional and not able to do the things I need to do because I'm depending on affirmation coming from other people. It's okay if it happens, but it's not always a given. And nor should I show up at every meeting expecting people to be interested in conscious contact necessarily, because they also have to receive it. But that doesn't mean that I stop trying to be vulnerable and get to know people. It could just be maybe at a meeting, instead of sharing all the time, I'm going to listen and nod and let other people know I'm listening to them. Sometimes it takes giving something in order to get something in that sense. And if I'm always coming to the table with all the information, when does anyone else get to put information out there that I can benefit from? It can't be a two-way street. Initiate the vulnerability, the conscious contact, and then sit and wait patiently for the response. And if someone's having a bad day and not receptive, it doesn't mean that they won't be tomorrow at all. In this program, we give each other room to grow. I hope today will be a beautiful day for you. I need to get my day started. I'm running about 7 minutes behind. But I've enjoyed your company, and I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to talk to you tomorrow.